welcome to the TechMediaWire Podcast powered by IBN. This original audio production delivers market and sector insights, as well as exclusive interviews with innovative executives shaping the future in fast-moving industries, and may feature a client partner of IBN or one of the 60-plus investor-focused brands within IBN's dynamic brand portfolio. As a multifaceted financial news and publishing company, IBN leverages its extensive distribution network, utilizing multiple proprietary corporate communication tools to introduce both public and private companies to a vast and diverse audience of investors, consumers, influencers, journalists, and other targeted segments of the public. IBN may have received compensation to produce this audio content. Please be sure to read IBN's entire disclaimers for full disclosures. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the next revelatory episode of IBN's TechMediaWire podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to another online business briefing brought to you by the Investor Brand Network, and you are dialed in to the TechMediaWire. In just a moment, I'll be welcoming on our guest today. That's Etienne Moshevich. He is the CEO for Planet Ventures Incorporated. The company's traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol PXI. Here in the States on the OTC under the ticker symbol PNXPF. They've got a beautiful website. It is planetventuresinc.com. I'm actually right there right now on my other screen. Learned a lot about the company, got to cruise through so many different aspects of the company, but we're going to hear that all from our guest today as well. And of course, you can visit us here at the Investor Brand Network. Click on the Clients tab, and they're in alphabetical order. You're going to find Planet Ventures. But there he is. Etienne, welcome to the show, and thanks so much for taking time for us today.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Stuart. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start for those who may not be familiar with your company. If you could give us a little bit of the background, the history, and some of the key markets and a little bit about the business model that you operate with.
Definitely. So I'll take you kind of back on how everything started. So it was about 2.5 years ago. Planet's an investment issuer. And as an investment issuer, you can invest in a multitude of different sectors, in any sector. You can invest in the mining sector, the energy sector, the technology sector. It gives you the flexibility to invest in anything that wherever you see the opportunity. And so about 2.5 years ago, Planet at the time maybe was sitting at about $4 million in cash and assets. I approached the management team and the board and I said, look, I think we have an incredible opportunity with Planet, given the cash position that you have. I see a ton of opportunities and I want to come in, write a check, become its largest shareholder, and become CEO and drive this company forward. The board agreed. I wrote my check. I became the largest shareholder and we got to work. And it's not like I had 10 different investments that were ready to go right away. I just had about $5 million sitting in the bank at that point after the raise, just over 5. But there were a ton of opportunities in the junior space. And so over the next couple of years, we turned that asset base from $5 million to about $20 million where it is today in cash and assets. And so with that, kind of the next thing that I was looking at is how can I turn this 20 into hopefully 50, 100, 200 one day? And I'm looking at obviously a ton of different sectors. And the one sector where I feel has the biggest growth opportunity today is I felt was in the space sector and in the space economy. And it's something that I think it's just starting. It's in the first inning and everyone is starting, you're obviously hearing the rumblings with SpaceX, but by the time regular retail investors can get involved and take a piece of SpaceX, it's already public. It's already going to be trading at over $1 trillion market cap. And so, but how can regular investors get into SpaceX when it started or on the first raise or second raise or third raise? We only get access to it when the unicorns go public.
Yeah.
And so I said, look, Planet is in an extremely unique position where it can actually invest in private space companies that we feel have the most amount of torque, and give our investors exposure to those private investments in the space sector. And so over time, we've assembled a team, an incredible team of advisors that we can bounce ideas through that have access to these space investments. A lot of them are they're in the startup world. They have access to Silicon Valley investors and venture capital funds, where a lot of these companies get raised. A lot of the money gets raised at the first time and the second time. And we're still growing that team. And so as of right now, we have 5 space investments right now. And so our goal is to grow that portfolio and build that portfolio from 5 investments to 10 to 20 to 30 investments, and give our shareholders exposure to those private companies. And so it's the venture capital world. Obviously, not every single one of them is going to become the next SpaceX, hopefully, but you never know. But hopefully 1, 2, or 3 of them do. And obviously that's how our investors are going to get a tremendous benefit out of it. But our job, and if you're a regular retail investor and you have, let's say, $50,000 that you want to allocate, you believe space is going to be huge, and you want to allocate, $10,000 for 5 different companies. You allocate 10 grand for 5 companies, and then you have to wait because you don't have that extra $10,000 or that extra 20. As a public company, we're sitting with $20 million in cash and assets, so we have a much bigger capital pool to invest. But we also have the ability to raise more money as these investments continue to do well. We'll be able to attract more capital and invest more money either into these current ones to get a bigger stake, or just to expand our portfolio. And that's what's very, very unique about Planet, is if you invest in Planet, you get through us, and we're a public company, so any retail investors can buy us on the stock exchange in Canada or the US or in Frankfurt. Then you get access and exposure to these private space companies. And what kind of interests me, why space? It's the one thing that's so interesting is it's not just, okay, there's, spaces, okay, which company is going to build a rocket to go to the moon? It's not just that. There's so many different aspects of space. There's defense, there is mining in space, there's data centers in space, there's the energy efficiency in space. Defense is a massive one. I mean, look at what Elon Musk was able to do with Starlink, with the war going on in Iran and in Ukraine. I mean, it's incredible, and it's literally just starting. Tourism in space, and we're literally just scratching the surface of the entire space economy. And especially being in Canada, being based in Vancouver, mining is a massive industry here. Imagine, if you think there's an incredible amount of resources on Earth, imagine the amount of resources that are available and have never been touched and never been mined in space and on the moon. And all of that is kind of opening up a completely different frontier for investors. And I want to position Planet at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're at, and that's the value proposition for Planet.
Yeah, I mean, the value proposition as well being that you just talked about it in so many different ways. The regular Joe investor doesn't have the time to do the due diligence on these private companies, especially because that information isn't as ready available as a prospectus is on a public company, quarterly filings. Your private companies are going to be the diamonds in the rough, truly. And, all those sections you talked about within the space industry, a lot of times what people miss is all the infrastructure it takes to build that rocket ship. All the little pieces. There's public companies out there that are making batteries for rocket ships that we just don't know about. There's private companies that are building pieces of these rocket ships, defense parts of the equation. So this is really exciting stuff. And I want you to go to that website again, because on the website, second tab over, click on the portfolio, and you can see some of these investments. I love what you also said in the very beginning, Etienne, where we're in the first inning. That's a great analogy of this, because this is a marathon, not a sprint, and your company is going to provide the eyes and the ears and the boots on the ground for these investments. That's what I took away from that. So let's learn about you. I mean, you're the CEO of the company. You've obviously had a great background. I got to read a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about what you brought, besides how you became CEO, which you just outlined for us. What brought you here as the CEO?
Well, I played tennis all my life. I went to school in the States, and then I came back and I got involved in the capital markets business at the age of 21, and I absolutely loved it. Born and raised in Vancouver. The venture capital markets in Canada, a lot of it is in Toronto and Vancouver, and we're obviously very primarily mining focused here in Vancouver. But I just found it was so interesting to me where you can, you know, invest in an idea and a team with a vision, and sometimes you hit or you miss, but if you hit, it can become, the rewards for investors can be astronomical. And obviously it doesn't always happen. You get a lot of misses. For every 10, maybe one becomes a massive hit and the other 5 go to 0, 4 are kind of stay the same or up a little bit. But it's that whole excitement in that whole venture capital world on the public side, because it's very different in Canada than it is in the US. Basically, let's say if you're based in San Francisco and you have an incredible idea for an app, let's say, and you want to build it, you don't go public right away. You go and raise venture. First, let's say you raise money from friends and family. Then you go to the venture capital funds. Then hopefully you raise some more money and you get bigger venture capital funds and invest family offices investments. And things like that. You grow from seed A and B round, C round, and everything. And then you only go public when you become a unicorn. And so but in Vancouver and in Canada, it was so interesting because you would go public right away. And so you can start off $1 million market cap, $5 million market cap. Where in the States, you don't go public until you're obviously a lot higher than that, in the billions, if you want to go public in the US on the NYSE or the NASDAQ. And so it was a totally different world for me, but it gives regular investors access to those small mining startups that are, drilling on one property. But if they hit, all of a sudden, they can become huge additions and huge wins for everybody. So that's kind of what drew me to this world, and I've been in it ever since, and in the capital markets business, and I loved it. And then from there, you build your network and you build your investment base and your contacts, and through there, I always wanted to not just be in the background and doing investor relations for companies, but trying to build a company myself and to lead a company. And that's why I'm so excited about Planet. And I really feel, with Planet, we're at the beginning. Like, it's, people say, okay, space, let's say, there's so many different facets, but nobody really understands all the facets. Even I don't understand all the facets of what's in the space economy right now. And we're only going to find that out in the next 5 to 10 years. But over that time, that's what's so interesting, is there's going to be new technologies and new aspects of space that are going to come through, and we hope to be able to capitalize on them. And I feel that Planet is in an incredibly unique position to take advantage of those opportunities, given our cash, our asset base, and the team we have around us. And we're going to continue to build that team around us to keep giving us those opportunities.
Outstanding. Well, we'll keep an eye on that press wire. Everyone, now's the time. Obviously, we gave the ticker symbols out at the beginning of the show. Once again, PXI on the CSE, PNXPF on the OTC. You can also pull that Frankfurt from the website for the company, as well as on the Investor Brand Network page. Etienne, I don't have the Frankfurt listing right in front of me. You caught me off on that one, but it really,
it's P6U. Don't worry.
There you go. What was that again?
P6U.
Perfect. There you go. P6U. So let's talk about 2026 then. If looking back at your recent news, I mean, there's been some watershed moments for your company. You can even go back to late 2025 if you want. But as the CEO, what has got you excited? What have been some of the milestones so far here in 2026?
Thank you for that. So we've made 5 incredible investments right now, and we're going to continue to increase that portfolio and build our team. That's what I want people to focus on. Is I want people to see how I'm saying to everybody that our mandate for 2026 is to build our portfolio, grow our portfolio from 5 investments to hopefully 10 different investments, and to build our team our management team, and our team of advisors. And I think you're going to see with the caliber of people that we're going to be bringing onto our team, the experience that they're going to be bringing to us in the space industry and in the venture capital world is going to be second to none to any other, public investment company in Canada. And that's what I want to show everyone. And hopefully, and obviously, the growth of our current investments with Relativity Space, Antares, Mantis, GRU, who already signed, the Trump family to go to the moon. They were on the Lara Trump show. I believe it was on Fox. And General Astro. I mean, these are incredibly exciting investments that we're a part of already. And I think there's going to be a ton of updates from those 5 companies. And I want to make sure that all investors stay tuned with all the updates and everything that we're going to be bringing on with the new companies that we're going to be investing in.
So team building is big. Growth within the portfolio. Again, the portfolio that Etienne just went over is available for you to look into right there at their website. That's a big part of the goals, is growth within your portfolio, growth within the team. Any other goals that you see on the immediate horizon the next 3 to 6 months that investors should be looking out for from your company?
It's going to be those 3 things. And I think that's what to stay focused on. We are highly focused as a team to build our portfolio, work with our portfolio companies in helping them grow and do very well. And I think you're going to be seeing, people will be able to see the early stage that we invested in, and hopefully as they continue to grow, how early we got in and show that growth from our existing investments. I think we're going to be showing our investors more exciting opportunities that we're going to be investing in and giving them exposure to as shareholders of Planet, and building our team. And that's what we're going to be doing. And hopefully with that, our value continues to grow, and we become a very, very good growth story for 2026.
Great interview with you today. Your excitement levels got me excited. I got to feel like the viewers are getting excited as well. Any closing thoughts or comments for the listeners, the viewers, your existing shareholders?
You know what? Please keep PXI, PNXPF, and P6U on your radar screen. This is the time for you to be watching us. Given our current valuation, our cash in the bank, and our asset value, I think we're in an incredible position to really become the leader in 2026, especially in this industry. And I highly encourage everyone to take a look at our website, stay updated, and again, give me a call, email me with any questions you have. My contact information is on our website. I'll talk to any shareholder, any investor. I don't care if you have 1 million shares or 1 share. My line is always open to you. I will always come back to you, and hopefully we build a very, very successful company.
Outstanding. Wow. What a great interview. Again, we're speaking with Etienne Moshevich, the CEO of Planet Ventures Incorporated. Etienne, we look forward to great things from you, your entire team, as that team grows here in 2026 and well beyond. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody out there, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Leave comments for us here about the company. What do you want to know? We'll ask it in our follow-up interviews. We'll be back with this company very soon here in 2026. Thanks so much for tuning in today.
The TechMediaWire Podcast is an original content production powered by IBN, a multifaceted financial news and publishing company that delivers next-generation corporate communication solutions. Utilizing proprietary corporate communication tools such as news aggregation and syndication, social communication, and brand awareness techniques, among others, IBN introduces both public and private companies to diverse audiences to enhance reach and recognition. IBN may receive compensation for services and solutions provided to its client partners. You should assume that the owners, officers, and directors of IBN or financial analysts mentioned in this production may hold a position in and may intend to trade the securities in their own accounts. This production is not an offer or recommendation to buy or sell any securities that may be mentioned in this production. The information in this broadcast is presented solely for informative purposes and is not intended to be or should it be construed as investment advice. As in all investments, investment in the featured companies carries inherent investment risk. Listeners should review the companies thoroughly with a registered investment advisor or registered stockbroker. This production by IBN is not purported to be a complete study of the featured company or other companies mentioned. Information used in statements of fact have been obtained from featured companies and other sources but not verified nor guaranteed by IBN as to completeness and accuracy. Such information is subject to change without notice. Please see IBN's full disclaimers and disclosures at www.ibn.fm/disclaimer. Music in this episode is by Infraction. For more, visit inaudio.org.